I was 18 when my folks decided to up and move to a new place. No warning, no family meeting, just my dad, Carl, storming into the living room one evening, saying, "We're buying a bigger house. Start packing." My mom, Lorraine, was already flipping through paint swatches like it was a done deal. My older sister, Tara, smirked from the couch, and my younger brother, Joey, gave me that look, like he knew something I didn't. I should have seen the trouble coming, but I was just a kid, trying to get through senior year. We'd lived in our old house my whole life. It wasn't fancy, peeling paint, creaky floors, but my room was mine. Small, cluttered with my guitar and some posters, but it was home. I didn't expect a mansion, but I figured I'd at least get a say. Nobody asked me nothing. They just told me to box up my stuff. Tara's boyfriend, Mitch, had been hanging around a lot lately. He was the type who'd carry mom's shopping bags and call dad sir, like he was auditioning for Son of the Year. I never played that game. I kept to myself, which my folks took as me being useless. Moving day was a mess. I was the last to get my stuff to the new house, a boxy, gray thing that looked like every other house on the block. When I got there, my stuff wasn't in boxes anymore. It was stuffed into garbage bags, piled by the front door. Joey was leaning against the wall, grinning like he'd just won a bet. I asked, "What's going on?" And he just pointed upstairs. I went up, heart pounding, and found Mitch in what I thought was my room, setting up his weights. He didn't even look at me, just said, "You gotta knock, man." I stormed downstairs to Dad, who was sipping coffee like nothing was wrong. "Where's my room?" I asked. He shrugged and said, "You're 18, Ethan. Time to stop acting like a kid. We ain't running a hotel for freeloaders." Mom chimed in, not even looking up from her phone. "Mitch pays his way. Maybe you could learn from him." Tara was there, pretending to fold laundry, but smirking. Joey piped up, "Guess you're bunking in the basement, huh?" and laughed like it was the funniest thing ever. I tried to argue. "This ain't fair. I've got as much right to a room as anyone." Dad snorted. "Night? What do you do besides eat our food and play that damn guitar?" Mom finally looked at me, cold as ice, and said, "Mitch is more family than you've ever been. He pulls his weight." I stood there, clutching a garbage bag with my old jacket spilling out, feeling like I'd walked into someone else's life. I wasn't gonna cry, but I was mad. I shouted, "You're kicking me out for him? Fine. But you'll regret this. I'll make sure of it." Joey rolled his eyes. "Yeah, sure, drama queen." Dad laughed, which stung worse than anything. I grabbed my bags and headed for the door. Tara blocked me, saying, "You're making this a bigger deal than it is." I pushed past her, and she shoved me back. I didn't fight. I just kept going. In the garage, I tried to grab my bike, but Joey had chained it with his lock. I didn't ask for the key. I took what I could carry, some clothes, my phone charger, my earbuds, and walked out. Dad yelled after me, "Don't come crawling back till you grow up." I didn't have a plan. I texted a buddy from school, Nate, asking if I could crash. He said, "Sure, just don't make it weird." So I walked to his place, maybe an hour away, hauling garbage bags. A couple kids from school saw me and stared, but nobody said nothing. I got to Nate's, crashed on his lumpy couch, and just stared at my phone, trying to make sense of it. Then Tara texted me a photo of Mitch in my old room, flexing in front of my mirror. "Time to move on, little bro," she wrote. I didn't reply. I just sat there, thinking, I ain't forgetting this. Not ever. So there I was, 18, kicked out of my own family's new house, crashing on Nate's couch that smelled like old pizza and dog hair. I kept waiting for a text, a call, something from my folks saying, "Ethan, we messed up, come back." But nothing. Not even Joey gloating, which was weird because he loved getting the last word. I lay there that first night, scrolling through my phone, replaying every word from that day. I was pissed, sure, but it was like my brain shut off too, like I was watching my life through a foggy window. The next morning, I scrounged up some cash for a gas station breakfast, stale donut, and a soda. My phone started buzzing, but it wasn't Mom or Dad. It was Tara's group chat, which she'd dragged me back into just to rub it in. She sent photos of Mitch hanging his stupid sports posters in my old room. Everyone in the chat hyping him up like he was some kind of hero. "New and improved son," one of her friends wrote, with a laughing emoji. Tara followed up with a screenshot of my old Netflix account, captioning it, "Don't need this anymore," and locked me out. I didn't bother replying. I just deleted the app. What really got me was when Joey posted my stuff on Craigslist. My guitar amp, my old sneakers, even my beat-up skateboard, stuff with my name still scrawled on it. I texted him, "What the hell, man?" He sent back a winking emoji, nothing else. I called him, and he picked up, but all I heard was him chuckling with someone else before he hung up. I tried Mom, but it went straight to voicemail. I left a message, probably too long, saying they couldn't just sell my life. Hours later, I checked, and she'd blocked me. Dad didn't even pick up. I was stuck. That night, I went back to the house, thinking I could at least grab what was left of my stuff. The front door was locked, and the backyard was full of Mitch's buddies, drinking and blasting music. One of them spotted me and yelled, "Yo, it's the runaway kid." I ignored him, but Tara came out, arms crossed, blocking the gate. "Here to beg for forgiveness?" she asked. I said, I just want my things. She laughed. Should have thought of that before you disrespected us. I tried to step past, but she pushed me hard. Mitch appeared behind her, just standing there like a bouncer. I knew I wasn't getting in, so I turned around, slamming the gate behind me. For weeks, I bounced between Nate's couch and another friend's floor. I picked up odd jobs, mowing lawns, washing cars, but it was barely enough to eat. I got this feeling my family wanted me to vanish, like I was a stain they could bleach out. Dad used to say, "You don't work, you don't eat," half joking when I was little. Guess he meant it. Then, out of nowhere, Mom unblocked me and sent a text. "Hope you're learning how the real world works." She added, "Mitch and Tara do more for us in a day than you ever did." I didn't respond. I just saved the message. I started seeing why they treated me like this. I wasn't like Joey, who played football and made Dad proud, or Tara, who posted perfect family photos for Mom's Facebook. I was just Ethan, the quiet kid who liked music and didn't kiss up. They didn't want a son. They wanted someone who'd fit their script. But I wasn't about to let them write me off. Things got messy when I tried updating my ID to Nate's address. The DMV said I wasn't listed at my parents' new place. Turns out, they never put me on the lease or bills, like I didn't exist. I called Mom about it, and she said, "You don't live here, so why would you be?" I told her, "Fine, but you can't sell my stuff." She snapped, "You left it behind. It's ours now." I hung up. That's when I decided if they wanted to erase me, I'd make myself impossible to ignore. Nothing illegal, just annoying. I called my school, got my records sent to a new address, and changed my emergency contact to Nate. I opened a new bank account, moving my measly savings out of the one Mom could still touch. I changed every password, locked down every account. I started a list on my phone of anything they could use against me and crossed it off, one by one. It wasn't about getting even. It was about taking control. So there I was, 18, floating between couches, my life stuffed into a couple of duffel bags, and my family acting like I'd never been born. I wasn't just mad anymore. I was done playing their game. If they thought they could toss me out and move on like nothing happened, I was going to make sure they felt me, even from a distance. Not with fists or yelling, but with the kind of quiet trouble that sticks in your craw. I kept tabs on them, not in a creepy way, just checking their social media. Tara's Instagram was full of posts about new beginnings, with Mitch, all smiles and filters. But I noticed something off. She was selling stuff online, not just my old gear, but her own clothes, some of Mom's kitchen gadgets. I dug a little deeper, poking around public records on the county website. Turns out, the new house had a lien on it for unpaid property taxes. My folks always acted like rules didn't apply to them, so I wasn't shocked. Then I checked my credit report, something I hadn't done in forever. My name was still tied to an old cable bill from our old place. Dad never took me off, probably too lazy or just to screw me over. If they didn't pay, it'd tank my credit. I called Dad about it, keeping my voice steady. "You gotta take my name off that bill," I said. He laughed, like it was a joke. "You walked out, Ethan. Deal with the consequences." I told him I wasn't covering their mess, and he hung up. That's when I started fighting back, slow and deliberate. I filed disputes with the cable company, saying I didn't live there anymore. It took weeks, but I got my name off. The unpaid bill got sent to Dad's credit instead. I knew he'd hate the collection calls. He always raged at customer service. Then I got curious about Mitch. He was living in my room, paying rent, but something felt shady. I looked up local housing laws online. Turns out, if someone's paying to stay in your house, you need a proper lease, or you're breaking city rules. My folks loved doing things off the books, thinking they were clever. So I made an anonymous call to the city housing office, reporting an unregistered tenant at their address. I mentioned Mitch's truck, always parked half on the lawn, which drove the neighbors nuts. A week later, Joey was ranting on Facebook about nosy bureaucrats and stupid fines. I just smiled and kept scrolling. Things escalated when I got a notice from the bank about the old house. My name was still on some utility accounts tied to the address, and when I got removed, it flagged the mortgage for occupancy issues. The bank sent my folks a letter, demanding they verify who lived there. I knew that'd drive Dad up the wall. He hated paperwork more than anything. I sent the bank a formal request to cut my name from anything linked to their property. It was a slow process, but I pushed it through, knowing every delay was another headache for them. Tara started messaging me, acting like we were cool. "Hey, no bad blood, right? But you really should have stepped up back then." I ignored her. Then she sent a photo of herself wearing my old band t-shirt, captioned, "Finders Keepers." I saved it, adding it to my growing pile of screenshots. Joey tried his own angle, texting me to stop stirring crap up, saying I was making life hard for everyone. I shot back, "You laughed when they threw me out. Don't cry to me now." He didn't reply. One day, I got a call from Mrs. Delaney, an old neighbor from our old street. She was always griping about our overgrown yard. She said she had mail for me, official stuff. I told her to shred it. She paused, then said, "Your parents never told me you left." That's not right. I just said, "Yeah, sounds like them." It hit me how they'd erased me, not just from the house, but from their whole world. That's when I doubled down. I called every utility company tied to the old address, making sure my name was gone. Each time, I knew it'd bounce back to Dad. forcing him to deal with the mess. The final straw was when Mom called Nate's parents, spinning some story about me causing trouble and trying to get them to kick me out. Nate came to me, looking uncomfortable. "My folks are getting weird vibes, man. Maybe you should find another spot for a bit." I didn't argue. I packed my bags and left, texting Mom, "Nice try, but I'm not disappearing." She didn't answer. I was tired of being their punching bag. They wanted me gone? Fine. But I was going to be the ghost that haunted every corner of their perfect little life. By now, I was 19, scraping by on odd jobs and crashing wherever I could. I'd cut my family off from every part of my life I could control, but I wasn't done making them squirm. They thought they could replace me with Mitch and pretend I never existed. I was determined to be the itch they couldn't scratch, the bill they couldn't dodge. I wasn't out for blood, just consequences. I kept an eye on their social media, not obsessed, just curious. Tara's posts were getting desperate, all about hustling through tough times with hashtags like family first. Joey was quieter, but I caught him venting on Twitter about backstabbing neighbors and city hall nonsense. I knew my little housing report was hitting home. Then I stumbled on a post from Mom, a rare one, showing the new house with a caption about fresh starts. But the comments were off, people asking if they were selling, others offering prayers for hard times. Something was up. I checked the county records again. The lien on their house had grown, now tied to unpaid taxes and some homeowner association fines. I also found out the mortgage was in pre-foreclosure, meaning they were behind on payments. My folks always lived like they had more money than they did, so this tracked. I checked my credit again and saw another old bill pop up, this time for water at the old house. My name was still on it. I called Dad, keeping it short. "Get me off this bill, or I'll make it your problem." He snapped, "You're already a problem, Ethan. Figure it out yourself." I hung up and disputed the bill, knowing it had bounced back to him with late fees. Then I got a wild idea. I remembered Mitch never had a real lease, just some handshake deal with my folks. That was against city rules, but it also meant he wasn't protected as a tenant. I made another anonymous tip to the housing office, this time about illegal subletting and overcrowding from Mitch's buddies always crashing there. A week later, Tara posted a cryptic story about people trying to tear us down. Joey was louder, raging online about a city inspector showing up, slapping them with a fine for unpermitted tenants. I didn't feel bad. They'd chosen Mitch over me. Things got spicier when I got a letter from the bank. My name being tied to the old utilities had triggered a deeper audit on the mortgage. The bank was now asking for proof of who lived in the house, plus financial records. I knew my folks would hate that. They'd always dodge taxes and cut corners. I sent the bank a certified letter, formally requesting my name be removed from anything tied to their address. It was a slow grind, but every step meant more paperwork for them. Dad left me a voicemail, voice shaking with anger. "You're screwing us over, Ethan. Stop this, or you'll regret it." I saved it, just in case. Tara tried a new tactic, sending me a long text about how things are rough and how I should think about family. I didn't bite. Then she sent a video of Mitch tossing my old guitar case in the trash, saying, "You left this behind." I screenshot it, adding it to my collection of their nonsense. Joey called, acting like he was doing me a favor. "You're making Mom cry, man. Just chill." I said, "You didn't care when they threw me out. Why should I care now?" He cursed and hung up. I got a random call from Mr. Harper, an old neighbor who used to yell at us for parking on his grass. He said he had a package for me, something from the DMV. I told him to toss it. He hesitated, then said, "Your folks never mentioned you moved out. That ain't right." I just said, "Yeah, that's them." It stung, knowing they'd wiped me from their story. So I kept pushing. I contacted every company tied to the old house, electric, gas, trash, and got my name off. Each time, I knew it had forced Dad to deal with the fallout, probably with a bigger bill. The breaking point came when Mom texted Nate's mom, claiming I was trouble and shouldn't be staying there. Nate pulled me aside, looking sheepish. "My mom's getting pressure, Ethan. You might need to find another place." I didn't make a scene. I grabbed my stuff and left, texting Mom, "You can't erase me that easy." She didn't reply. I was done being their doormat. They wanted me gone. Fine. But I was going to make sure they felt the weight of that choice every single day. I was pushing 20, still scraping by, but I'd gotten good at staying one step ahead of my family's mess. I wasn't just surviving. I was making sure they couldn't forget me. Every move I made was about reminding them what they threw away when they picked Mitch over their own son. I wasn't breaking laws, just poking holes in their perfect little world, one annoying step at a time. I kept tabs on their social media, and the cracks were obvious now. Tara's posts were all about overcoming struggles, but she was selling more stuff online. Her jewelry, Joey's old gaming console. Joey was ranting on Twitter about leeches and fake family, which I figured was about Mitch. Mom's Facebook went quiet, except for vague posts about trusting God's plan. I checked the county records again. The lien on their house was bigger, and the mortgage was still in trouble. I also found out they'd been hit with another fine from the homeowner association for Mitch's truck tearing up the yard. My anonymous tips were working. Then I got a surprise. My credit report showed a new hit, an old internet bill from the old house, still in my name. I called Mom, calm but firm. Take my name off this, or I'll make it worse. She sighed, like I was the problem. You left, Ethan. This is on you. I disputed the bill, and it got sent to her credit instead. I knew she'd hate dealing with the fallout. She always complained about stupid companies. I also called the bank again, pushing to get my name off anything tied to their mortgage. The process was slow, but every letter I sent meant more headaches for them. One night, I saw a story on Tara's Instagram. Mitch was bragging to someone about how he was holding the family together, saying Dad owed him for covering bills. In the background, Joey was counting cash, joking about charging Mom rent. I saved the video. It was clear they were strapped for cash, and Mitch was playing king of the castle. I dug into local laws again and found out their homeowner association had strict rules about unregistered vehicles. Mitch's buddies were always parking their junky cars on the street, blocking mailboxes. I sent another anonymous tip, and soon Joey was whining online about petty neighbors and fascist HOAs. I didn't feel sorry for them. Dad started texting me, short and pissed. You're causing trouble, Ethan. Knock it off. I didn't reply, but I saved every message. Tara tried a different angle, sending me a long email about how we're all struggling and how I should come talk. I ignored it. Then she sent a photo of my old guitar, propped against a dumpster. Guess you don't need this, she wrote. I saved that too. Joey called, acting like he was the reasonable one. You're stressing everyone out, man. Just stop. I said, you didn't care when they locked me out. Don't expect me to care now. He hung up. Then Mom pulled a low blow. She called my new landlord, a guy I'd been renting a room from, and told him I was unstable and shouldn't be trusted. My landlord cornered me, looking uneasy. Ethan, I don't want drama. You might need to find another place. I packed up without a fight, texting Mom, you can't shake me that easy. She didn't answer. I was tired of their games, but I wasn't backing down. They wanted me gone? Fine. But I was going to make sure they felt every ounce of what they'd done. I was 21 when things started shifting. I'd been on my own for years, working odd jobs, saving every penny, and keeping my family's chaos at arm's length. I wasn't rich, but I was stubborn, and I'd made sure they couldn't ignore me. Their house was a mess, figuratively and literally, and I'd had a hand in that. But then, out of nowhere, they reached out, and it threw me for a loop. It started with a text from Joey, casual, like we just grabbed burgers last week. Hey, Ethan, you good? Need help with rent or anything? I stared at my phone, wondering if he'd lost his mind. This was the guy who'd laughed when they threw my stuff in garbage bags. I didn't reply. Then Tara emailed, all formal, saying, we miss you. Can you come by? We need to talk. I showed it to my buddy Nate, who laughed. They're in deep, man. Bet they need something. I checked their social media. Mitch was barely in their posts anymore, and the vibe was tense, fewer family photos, more cryptic quotes about hard lessons. I dug a little, just public stuff. The county site showed their house was still in pre-foreclosure, with new fines piling up. I also found out my name was still on an old gas bill, probably because Dad never bothered to update it. I called the gas company, got my name off, and let the bill hit Dad's credit. I knew he'd be furious. He hated dealing with disputes. While I was at it, I sent another tip to the homeowner association about ongoing parking violations. Joey posted a furious rant about snitches a few days later. I just smirked. Then Mom called, using her old, good cop voice. Ethan, honey, we'd love to see you. Things have been tough, but family's family. I didn't buy it. I said, what do you want? She hesitated, then said, we're having some issues with the house. You're good with paperwork. Maybe you could help. I laughed, not mean, just stunned. You threw me out, Mom. Now you want my help? She got quiet, then said, we made mistakes. Please, just come by. I hung up. I kept pushing. I sent a final request to the bank to scrub my name from anything tied to their mortgage. The bank confirmed it'd take time, which meant more forms for my folks. Dad left a voicemail, practically growling. You're making this harder than it needs to be, Ethan. Cut it out. I saved it. Tara tried again, texting about how Mitch isn't who we thought, and how they were figuring things out. I replied, sounds like your mess, not mine. She didn't write back. A week later, I got a call from Mrs. Delaney, the old neighbor. She had more mail for me, some tax form. I told her to toss it, but she said, your family's falling apart, Ethan. I see the notices on their door. I didn't know what to say. Part of me wanted to gloat, but another part just felt heavy. I'd spent years making them pay, but it wasn't making me happy. Still, I wasn't ready to forgive. They'd chosen Mitch, laughed in my face, and now they wanted me to play savior? Nah, I was going to keep the pressure on until they really felt it. I was 22 when it all came to a head. I'd built a life, not a fancy one, but mine, working construction, renting a tiny apartment, and keeping my family's drama at a distance. I'd spent years making sure they couldn't forget what they did, and it worked. Their house was on the brink, their perfect family in shambles. But when they came knocking, I had to decide what I really wanted. It started with a call from my landlord. Ethan, some people are downstairs, asking for you. Sound like family. I looked out my window, and there they were, Mom, Dad, Tara, Joey, standing by the buzzer, looking like they'd been through a war. Mom clutched a stack of papers, Dad glared at the pavement, Tara fiddled with her phone, and Joey paced like a caged dog. I let the buzzer ring for a bit, tempted to ignore them. But I knew they'd make a scene, so I went down to the lobby, keeping the door locked between us. Mom spoke first, voice shaky. Ethan, can we talk? Just for a minute. I crossed my arms. What do you need? Dad jumped in, but I cut him off. You said I was a freeloader, remember? What's changed? He bristled, muttering about family loyalty. I scoffed. Where was that when you gave my room to Mitch? Tara said, can we do this inside? I shook my head. You're not coming up. Joey tried playing nice. Look, things got messy, but we're drowning, man. The house, the fines, it's bad. Mom added, we need you, Ethan. Come home, please. I couldn't help it. I laughed. What happened to Mitch? Tara looked away. Joey said, he split. Took some of our stuff, left us in the hole. Dad growled, we were wrong about him, okay? But we need your help with the paperwork, the bank, all of it. I stared at them, the 4 people who'd thrown me out like trash. You only want me because you're desperate, I said. Mom started crying. We messed up, Ethan. You're our son. I shook my head. You called me useless. Said Mitch was better. Now you're stuck, and I'm supposed to fix it. Dad slammed his hand on the doorframe. You're tearing us apart. I didn't flinch. You did that yourselves. Tara tried guilt. You're punishing us for one mistake. I snapped. One? You let them throw my life in the trash, Tara. You sent me pictures to gloat. Joey stepped forward, voice low. We're sorry, okay? Just help us, and we'll make it right. I looked at them, all waiting for me to cave. But I was done being their backup plan. I'm not coming back, I said. I'm not signing your papers, not saving your house. You made your bed. Lie in it. Mom grabbed my sleeve through the door crack. We'll lose everything, Ethan. I pulled away. You told me to grow up. I did. You didn't. She sobbed, but I didn't budge. Dad cursed, calling me selfish. Tara stormed off, yelling, you're heartless. Joey just stared, then said, this is your last shot, man. I opened the door wider, not to let them in, but to point to the street. Don't come back. I'm done. They left, arguing in the parking lot. I went upstairs, texted Nate. They showed up, begged me to save them. He replied, you let him have it? I said, yeah, but it didn't feel like a win. And it didn't. I'd spent years making them pay, but standing there, shutting them out, I realized I wasn't angry anymore, just tired. I didn't forgive them. I never will. But I didn't need to keep fighting, either. A month later, I heard they lost the house. Moved into a rental, still fighting over Mitch's mess. I didn't care. I started taking night classes, learning carpentry, building something real. I hung my old guitar on my apartment wall, not to play, but to remind me I'd made it through. They tried to erase me, but I'd written my own story. And for the first time, I was okay with letting theirs end.